In this food adventure, I might be in over my head as I attempt to eat an entire gallon of ice cream, which by the way, is definitely not my strongest food fighting type to take on. And we're starting this food adventure right now. What's going on? This is Magic Mitch, and let me just tell you right out of the gate, in this food adventure, it was nuts. Not only because am I attempting to eat an entire gallon of ice cream, but there's just a lot going on here. There's a lot of ups and downs, and certainly a few silly shenanigans as well. And it all takes place in Hernando, Mississippi. And once again, I'm joined by fellow food fighter Nataretta, aka Freak Eating, and he's actually attempting a different challenge here, which you can check out his video to find out more about. But I'm at Velvet Cream, also known as The Dip, taking on their gallon of ice cream challenge. Now the setup of this one, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to finish an entire gallon of ice cream. But here's where it gets a little fun, because you can customize your gallon with any combination of flavors you'd like. And let me tell you, they've got a ton of them. We're not talking like 10, 20, or even 30 flavors here. But in fact, there are 250 flavors to choose from. Talk about choice overload. And of course, there were so many flavors I wanted to try, but I did know that I had my work cut out for me on this one. Because you see, ice cream challenges, they're definitely not my strong suit. And even though that this challenge had a one sitting time limit, that really doesn't matter in my case because in the past, no matter how much time I had, after about 30 minutes or so, my stomach would start to get the rumbles and it would start to churn and feel a little twisted, and that meant I'd have to be on the lookout for the nearest available porcelain throne. Otherwise, I could be dealing with a horrifying case of disaster pants. And trust me, nobody wants that.
I can appreciate that.
But I will say that I have been acclimating my body to be able to handle larger quantities of ice cream, so as long as those bodily urges didn't show up, and I wouldn't go from Magic Mitch to find me a ditch Mitch, I'd at least have a chance at taking down this massive gallon of ice cream. Which if I was able to do so, I'd get the $30 meal for free, I'd also get a shirt, and my picture up on their wall of fame. So as far as the flavors I selected for my ice cream challenge, after thinking about it for way too long, because 250 flavors is quite a lot of flavors to consider, but this is what I ended up choosing. And I actually split it up into a top layer and a bottom layer. And on the top layer, which is basically anything you could see from the top down, I went with a single scoop of blueberry cheesecake, red velvet, mint chocolate chip, and their Oreo. And then I went with 2 scoops of their unicorn, which are actually a cotton candy flavor with some sprinkles in them. Then for the bottom layer, which is essentially the rest of the gallon that you really can't see, I went with vanilla bean. And I decided to do it like this because I wanted to be a little adventurous with that top layer and get something that looked a little bit more photogenic. Then have the rest be a very neutral flavor, something that isn't too strong, especially if everything started to mix together, which, by the way, it was hotter than balls out, especially with all that humidity, so it could very well be the case that a lot of these flavors would start to mix together if I wasn't eating it fast enough. And just in case you're wondering, I'm not too keen on having a lot of chocolate with my ice cream challenges because I find that it tends to be a more rich and strong flavor, which makes it a lot tougher to eat once flavor fatigue sets in. But let me know in the comments down below, if you were going to eat a gallon of ice cream, what flavors would you go with? And would you have done something similar, like have a top and bottom layer of flavors? Or would you have just gone buck wild and mixed it up with different flavors throughout?
How's the gallon treating you?
Switch?
I think that's a good one.
I'll feel better though. I think I'm done with a lot of toppings, and I am so glad I got most of vanilla bean, so I have a chance.
Yeah.
And I just want to drink this all and then die.
Kind of request for y'all to do them back to back next.
We're just gonna be worrying about this one for right now.
Yeah, you got it.
This one's I'm glad it's one sitting. I might need it.
Okay.
Okay, now early on, you could argue that I wasn't having the most ideal mindset, especially for someone expecting this gallon of ice cream food challenge just to be some sort of knockout drag-out brawl. But at the same time, I figured that keeping the mood on the lighter side, it might actually help with keeping my mind off this enormous task of finishing all this ice cream. So on that part, it was actually helpful having Natter there, just to keep things a bit more lively and fun. Rather if I was just there by myself, in my own head, constantly thinking about the ice cream, which there were already a few warning signs taking place, like the fact that this ice cream was becoming a little bit more difficult to eat already. Just something I took note of, but it wasn't anything to be immediately concerned about. So you might be wondering, hey, what's up with that funky setup we have? And I'm not talking about the fashionable attire, you know, with the ring pop, the candy bracelet, and the foodie socks, which by the way, I didn't have proper ice cream foodie socks, so I just went with donut ones because that was the closest thing I had for sweets. Anyways, the reason for the setup is because there's actually no inside seating here, so if you're looking to take on either of their challenges, be sure to call in advance so they can accommodate you. In our case, they weren't able to get their fold-up tables, but if I remember right, we didn't exactly give them that much of a heads up on this one. So they made do with what they had on hand and let us use one of their spare commercial kitchen tables. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they're called. But we placed that next to one of the benches, and because that table sits a bit high for the benches, I look kind of ridiculous. Well, I should say, even more ridiculous.
Oh, look at you showing off.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're enjoying your time watching this video, for whatever reason, whether it's for the epic challenge, or the silly shenanigans, or for the fact that you just like watching me be in complete misery while battling this food monstrosity, then I would greatly appreciate it if you took a few seconds to leave a little magic of your own by liking the video and leaving a comment down below.
Bravo, sir.
You're almost there.
He's got 30 minutes.
We might be
45
taking
seconds.
we might be taking an hour intermission, get a power nap in. We'll see.
Little Evan's probably got
Oh yeah, you
30
are.
minutes left.
Half soup, half.
I know. I'm looking forward to it too. Like my mouth does not want any of that ice cream with a spoon in it. It just wants to drink it like a milkshake. Excluding rematches, this might be the last big ice cream challenge I do. Do some push-ups for me while you're at it. Buying our time here. Got the whole stage to myself now.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna run out of battery on that one for sure, but whatever.
Alright, so 30 minutes in, and I have some positive and not so positive thoughts at this point. One of them being is that I don't feel the greatest, but I also don't feel the typical stomach churning reactions I would normally get at this point. Which is good, because that made me more hopeful that I could actually take advantage of that one sitting time limit and continue to chip away at this gallon of ice cream. Also, I have to say overall, pretty happy with the selection of flavors. Because first off, they all tasted phenomenal, and I'm really glad I went with the 2 different layers, since I did make my way through that top layer of flavors before they mixed in with the vanilla, so there wouldn't be any sort of funky flavors to deal with. And sure, I've been making some decent progress, but I still had a long ways to go. And I still was trying to keep things on the lighter side, but I'm sure as you can tell, the struggle was getting very real. And also, this is something I really didn't think about beforehand, but I started to take note of it as time went on, was that I was actually finding the texture of my big spoon to be very off-putting. So as I was buying time to let my body process the ice cream I'd already finished, I figured I'd have a better chance of drinking the remaining gallon. So I did put some emphasis on mixing up the remaining ice cream to transform it into its new milkshake form, which would be easier to drink, one swig at a time.
Yeah, I can't even wing proper. So much sugar all over.
Alrighty, I'm still continuing to make progress on this gallon of ice cream, and while I've got a majority of it down, the battle is far from over, as I was still having a tough time pushing through that dreaded wall. And while there was no immediate indication of disaster pants, which is definitely a good thing, I'm still playing to the strategy of slow and steady wins the race, because in my current condition, if I get too aggressive with the ice cream consumption, oh boy, there's going to be some intestinal disruption.
We're making progress. We're making progress, people. This is getting slurpy. Oh. So much sugar I can't pronounce stuff. All parts of my brain are getting affected now. Ah. Yes. I like that. So glad I got vanilla for this majority of bottom portion. Oh.
Is this the pump stretch? A little bit.
Not quite. We're utilizing all the space.
All the space, yeah, there you go. Put 'em in.
Is your arm getting sore yet? Is your arm getting sore yet?
I know Mitch is going to sleep well tonight.
It could go the exact opposite. You never know, it might turn into find me a ditch Mitch on the way back. No more magic Mitch, find me a ditch Mitch.
Regret setting in?
Not quite. Regret's gonna be if I get this far and don't do it.
Correct.
With the hair at peak levels of frizziness, the beard feeling oh so dry and itchy, and as the hot sun continues beating down on me, I don't know exactly how to describe this feeling that's coming over me, but it was like its own unique misery that I've never quite felt like in any other food challenge. It was part upset stomach, part feeling full, and honestly, probably part sunburned at this point, but whatever it was making me feel uncomfortable to say the least. So why I thought pretending to take a nap was a good idea? Not sure, but it wasn't the smartest idea I've ever had.
Yeah, we'll do this. We'll pass out a little bit.
Let this settle down. Okay, that immediately feels terrible. That immediately feels terrible. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there's a surprise for you if I beat this too.
Really? Is it a bad surprise or a good surprise?
It's both. It's both. It's the best kind of surprise.
Sounds terrible to me.
Depends on who you ask.
As the battle rages on, I continue to keep my spirits high by joking around and such, which has actually been working pretty well at this point. And it kept me distracted while my body just slowly processes all this ice cream. And I'm being 100% honest here, I never thought that I would ever embark on another food adventure where I'd be battling a food monstrosity for over an hour, like I did with that team challenge in Greece. But I kept telling myself, I'm too far to quit now, so I'm gonna push through, doing whatever I need to do in order to slay this monstrosity.
It's a lot of ice cream right here.
Got an audience.
I know. I'm like mad at him. He's got an ice cream cone. He's
Yeah,
just
right?
watching me.
Looks so enjoyable.
Yeah, it looks so enjoyable. He looks like he's having a good time. All right.
Come on, Mitch, do the dip proud. It's a very, very long humor session. On the side.
Sour. It's nice.
Yeah, so oddly enough, the ring pop did come in handy here towards the end, because the flavor of it was a bit more tangy and sour compared to the sweetness of the vanilla ice cream.
Oh yeah. But I know how it feels in there. You're like up to here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's storing this in his throat. And his time is an hour, 15 minutes.
Hour 10, 35 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, it feels like an eternity though, but we're gonna get it. Didn't come here all the way through all that traffic just to lose.
There's no way he's giving up this point. He's got
Uh-uh.
to shit, so.
I didn't choose this life, it chose me.
Yeah,
Just remember that.
1 gallon of ice cream and just a little bit over an hour. There we go. Woo! Sweet victory. Yep. There's the second winner of the gallon challenge. Woo, woo. Woo.
like a winner, like a champ.
What a battle that was. I really hope I never, ever, and I mean ever, embark on another battle like that again. And I'll tell you what, if that doesn't prepare me for the big eating event to come, I don't know what would. But as I bust out some very agonizing post-challenge push-ups, if you want to see more food adventures like this one, click or tap on the video on the screen or one of the links in the description down below, and I'll see you there.